Hello friends, in this video we're going to have a look at the character called Melchizedek. And we find the first story about Melchizedek in Genesis chapter 14. And this, just give you some little backstory behind this. Abraham has just rescued Lot, and they have returned from the defeat of the Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him. And this is verse 17. The king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Sheva. That's the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. So Salem was an earlier name for Jerusalem. And bread and wine is what we now celebrate the New Covenant communion supper with. So that's kind of a couple of interesting concepts, because we're way back in Genesis 14 when we read this in the story. So Melchizedek, the king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and he was a priest of the God Most High. And he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hands." And Abraham then went on to give a tenth of everything. So here we've got Melchizedek appearing, described as the king of Salem and the king of the God Most High, the priest of the God Most High. Now, under the ancient world, the eldest man in the family was known to be the priest, and it is very likely, and theologians believe this, that Melchizedek was actually Shem from the genealogy, because he was certainly alive at this point in Abram's life. That was Noah's eldest. And then we come to Hebrews, where it talks about Melchizedek again, and it compares Jesus to Melchizedek. Now, this is Hebrews chapter 7. And just to take a little step back, the priesthood and the priestly lines, as we went further down into the Mosaic covenant, were from the tribe of Levi, but Jesus was actually from the tribe of Judah, so he was also described as the priest of the Most High. So this is where Jesus is now compared to Melchizedek, and there's a whole teaching around why Jesus is the priest when he wasn't actually from the tribe of Levi, but we'll leave that for another day. So in Hebrews chapter 7, "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him." And again it tells us that Abraham gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything. And whose name, Melchizedek's name, was king of righteousness and also king of Salem. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. "And he was without father or without mother or genealogy, neither of in beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever." So that's talking about the Melchizedek priestly line. And we get a little bit further down, and verse 11, "Now if perfection had been attained through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need would there have been for another priest to arise after the order of Melchizedek, rather than one named after the order of Aaron? For when there is a change in priesthood, there is necessarily a change in the law as well." And you remember when we looked at the Mosaic covenant, when Moses died, there was a change in the rules and the terms of the covenant. So we've got a similar concept happening here. So we have a change of priesthood from Aaron's line, the Levitical line, to this line of Melchizedek. And this line of Melchizedek has no beginning of days nor end of life. So that kind of starts to get you to think about the new covenant and the eternal life that we have as priests, kings and priests in this covenant that we've got now. And in verse 12 it says, "For when there is a change in the priesthood, there is necessarily a change in the law as well." And we are operating in the new covenant under the law of love, not under the law of Moses. So there's all these concepts the writer of Hebrew is trying to get the people who are reading this, the Hebrew people, to understand what has changed from the Mosaic law and the Aaron priesthood into the new covenant that we've got now. And let's see, is there anything else I want to bring out there? So, verse 15, for it becomes even more evident when another priest arise in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become a priest not on the basis of legal requirement concerned in bodily descent, but by the power of the indestructible life, for it is witnessed of him, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. And so the writer is comparing that Jesus' priesthood is better than the Mosaic priesthood. The Mosaic law of Moses is an inferior law to the law of love that we've got now. So Jesus is the guarantee of a better covenant. The former priests were many in number because they were prevented by death from continuing in office. But he holds, this is Jesus, priesthood permanently because he continues forever. Consequently, he is able to save to the utmost, and those that draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for him. For it is indeed fitting that we should have such a high priest, wholly innocent, unstained, separated from sinners, and exalted above the heavens. And this then goes on to describe how Jesus is better than anything that had come before. So that's the Melchizedek, and a little bit of an introduction to that character in the Old Testament and how that is now represented, that priestly line is now represented through Jesus. So bless you heaps. This is Julie Mansell from Gem Ministries International, and next session I hope you will join me when we'll start to look at disrupting culture. Bye.